Good morning, everybody, and welcome to My Time TV. So, this is the first segment in what I will be doing monthly. But I wanted to just explain to you a little bit about me and what does this TV series mean. So, my name is Paula Darch, and my business is Dynamics Mind and Body Connection. But we're here to talk about me and my personal story as a mum and what parenting from chaos to freedom means to me and how I came to actually come up with the name, but also how I came to come up with, or how I sort of realized the feelings that I was feeling. So parenting from chaos to freedom has been a journey of 21 years, or almost 21. My eldest son, he will be 21 in October this year, and he and I have been through some massive challenges together. And, sort of the parenting part was my struggles with parenting a child that I found really hard to connect with because of everything that was going on with him. So how did I find the parenting from chaos to freedom? Well, for a very, very long time, most of the time between my son's birth and then up until probably about 2 years ago, where I discovered the freedom part, was that I was really struggling with being a mum and the expectations that I felt as a mum. I always, I look very young for my age, and as you can imagine, having a 22-year-old, I was 22 when I had my son, and so I looked very, very young. Not only did I look very young at the time, but I also had an extremely preemie baby. So he was very tiny, and every time I would go anywhere, it would be, oh my goodness, I've never seen such a tiny baby. And it really made me feel that people were just staring at me all the time. It made me feel like I was being judged by other people in society, the shops, and everywhere else. And as, sort of time went on, he was, he grew, of course, and then came, the temper tantrums. And again, every time I went out, I felt that people were staring at me. I felt that people, every time he would have a temper tantrum, which is a normal child behavior, especially when they are very sensitive to, the energies and what have you, which is where my children are, they really struggle to find their place in this world, but also to find their place in, when we are out and about. What I realized, though, was because I felt that I was being judged and I felt that everyone was staring at me because, number one, I had this little tiny baby. Number two, people would always look at me or say to me, wow, that's a tiny baby. You're so young to have such a tiny baby. And I feel like I was always having to stand up for myself and go, well, actually, I'm 22. My mum had 2 children by the age of 22. So for me, it wasn't the fact that I was young. It was just the fact that I looked very young. But I was also very insecure as a mum, but also as a person. So what did this really do for me? It really rocked my confidence. It really rocked my self-esteem because I was constantly feeling that, because people, I felt like people were staring at me and I felt that people were judging me because of the fact that I looked so young and I had this little baby, but, then 2-year-old toddler, this child, just temper tantrums. And so I took it on myself that I felt that I was being judged by other people in the fact that, oh my God, this child's behaving the way he is. She's a young mum, she's got no control. And this is where the freedom came in realizing, but I didn't realize this until he was much, 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 much older. And I have a 10-year-old as well now. And that is that what I realized about 2 years ago when I was going through some really significant issues with my son was that I was actually judging myself. Because of the low self-esteem, because I didn't have the confidence and what have you in myself, then what I felt was people, the feeling of people were judging me was just me feeling that way. It was, sort of feeling like people were judging me. But I was just judging myself because I constantly felt like I was being a failure as a mum, and I constantly felt like I was failing him. So to sort of just jump forward a little bit, this child, this beautiful boy, he and I went through some pretty horrendous stuff, and he was abused at the age of 3 years old. He was beaten very, very severely, hospitalised for 5 days, and that really fractured the relationship between him and I. Because you see, the person that beat him was a person that I was seeing at the time and didn't realise was actually doing it. So that came a lot of mother's guilt, a lot of grief around, oh my God, sort of how could this person do that? But also then I started grieving for the beautiful boy that I have, because the relationship between him and I was so fractured, and he was just so angry all the time. And so the behaviour just escalated more and more and more. So again, I started to go into, I must be a failure, I must be doing something wrong, how do I control this, and what have you. And that's the biggest key that I really want to talk about, and that is control. But I'm going to talk about that in a minute. So as the years went past, he went to school, and of course, being a child that had gone through trauma, he was acting out all the time. So the school was, his ADHD, put him on medication. And at the time, not knowing what I know now, I put him on the medication. And within 12 months realised it actually hadn't done anything for him whatsoever. So I took him off. But then more diagnosis and further diagnosis. So by the time that he was 12 years old, he had the diagnosis of ADD, ADHD, ODD, depression, PTSD, and then by the age of 12, he was diagnosed on top of that with conduct disorder. And what I realised with all of these diagnoses is that I kept then making excuses. Oh, it's the conduct disorder. Oh, it's, his depression. Oh, it's this and it's that. And so what I was actually doing was putting labels on him, because I felt that was then, what I should be doing. And this, again, is what I've learned in the last 2 years, and that is that every time that we put a label on, our beautiful children, it actually stops them from journeying the way that they're meant to be journeying. And this is where control comes in, guys, because we have this beautiful baby in our arms, like this newborn baby, and we have this visualization of what that baby's going to be like. And then we start to really implant that on them, going, sort of, this is what they should be, this is what they could be. And then when that doesn't happen, and when that doesn't happen the way we want it to, control, they start to then kind of go, hang on a minute, but you're stopping me from doing what I want to do. And this is also what the diagnosis does. Now, I'm not saying not to diagnose children, because I know that, sort of the diagnosis helps with funding, and it helps the children in education and what have you. I worked in the education system for 16 years with special needs children, and so I know that the funding really helps. But what I have worked out, being a parent of a child that had multiple, sort of disabilities, from visual processing, auditory processing, so on and so on and so forth, it was just actually stifling his journey of what he was actually meant to be and, you know, where he was meant to be going, because of course I was just saying, I was making excuses for him. Oh, that must be the depression, or that must be the PTSD. Must be the visual processing disorder. So what was happening was, because of my need to control his journey, then I was stopping him from actually moving forward on his journey, but also stopping myself as the parent to just let him be and let myself be as the parent. So this is where the freedom comes in, the realization of we cannot control our children and the journey that they are here on this world to be on. Their journey is their journey, and we are only here to love them. We are only here to, do our very best. And this is the one thing and the biggest message with parenting from chaos to freedom. And that is to recognize that we do the very best that we can in every circumstance as a parent. And this is a really strong message that I really want to give, and that is that we are not failing as a parent. We are not failing as, we are not failing our children, but we are not failing ourselves. This is such an important time to recognize that the biggest message for today with the parenting from chaos to freedom within your own mind is to realize that you are doing the very best you can in the circumstances that we have at this time. And that's really, really important. So I really want you to listen to that again. You are doing the very best that you can with under the circumstances that you are currently in. You are not failing. You are doing the best you can. You are loving, you are supporting your child, however that may be. Whether they are a child, a young child, or whether they are an adult, it really doesn't matter. We still do what we have to do. There are times in the last 20 years that, and this is a bit harsh, and I know it is, but you know what? There are times in the last 20 years that I've really hated my son. And it's something that I didn't want to admit, and it's something that I was really scared to admit that, can I really hate him? Yes, I did, because what he was going through at the time was hurting me so bad, because I was so needing to control his journey. I wanted him to be this image that I had in my mind as this little baby going, oh my God, he's going to be this and he's going to be that, and like he's going to do this. Well, I can tell you one thing, he's nothing to what I actually visualized him to be. But here's the thing, he is the most loving, caring, nurturing, beautiful young man that I think I, have ever met in my life. But is he what I thought he was going to be? No. Is he journeying the way that I would like for him to journey? No. But is that up to me to actually control that? No, it's not. He is here to live his journey. Your children are here to live their journey. No matter where they are in the world, no matter what they're doing in the world, we are here to guide. We are not here to control. We are here to guide. We are their guidance. That is what, sort of being the parent is. But where does it start for you to be free in yourself to be the parent that you are? Let go of the need to control what is happening for your children. Number one. Number two, follow your instincts. Always, always, always as a parent, follow your instincts. Because you know what? It doesn't matter what society says. It doesn't matter what anyone else around you says. You are the parent. Therefore, if you feel that you need to do something for your child, then do it. Listen to your instincts of what you need to do and how you need to do it. This is such an important thing, and I think that over time we have lost that instinct to do what we should be doing because we feel that we should be doing everything that society or our parents or our in-laws or whoever else, everyone has a say on our children. But really, should they have a say? Or should we just listen to our instincts and do what we know is right for our children? This is the key. This is the key to freedom. Now, the other part of freedom, and that is to work on yourself. Over the years, I have had to do so much work on myself, listening to my own guidance, but going and seeing, specialists, going and seeing a coach, going and seeing, a healer, going and seeing who I feel instinctively was right for me. Again, it comes down to instinct. There is a key to parenting from chaos to freedom within our own minds. And that is when we are free from the burdens of our own mind, then we are free to parent and follow the instincts and follow the journey that we're here for. So is it now time for you to follow your instincts? Is it now time for you to, maybe work on the emotions that you're feeling within yourself? Because we have this umbilical cord to our children, and that umbilical cord never goes away. So we feel what they feel what we feel. So there is a key to this. You as the mum and the father, particularly mum because we hold that umbilical cord, it is up to us to work on ourselves first. It's not selfish. We must put ourselves first because you know what? We are the glue to the family. When we are okay, freedom within our own mind, when we are okay, then things start to move. And this is something that my clients notice all the time. When they release and they go through the processes of the emotional release therapy, they always come back and go, geez, my daughter's really changed. Why? Oh, really? That's because you have made the commitment to yourself to change. And so this is where the key is. We are their role models. We are there to support them and to guide them through listening to our own instincts and working on ourselves first. So this is what I learned. I was taking my son to therapist after play therapist, after counsellor, after this therapist, so on and so on and so forth. And what did it actually revolve down to? Me. It actually revolved down to me starting to feel self-worth, feel the self-esteem, build my confidence, and now he has confidence. He has a full-time job. He works. He's doing his slowly but gradually, sort of moving forward in life because he has made that decision to change because I have given him the time and the space to journey on his own. Was that hard to do? Yes, it was. And I'm not saying that it was an easy choice to make because believe you me, it was not an easy choice to make. But to be free within my own mind to allow him to journey the way he needed to journey, that is what I realized that I had to do for myself. And that is to learn to control myself, to control how I was reacting in my own emotions so it wasn't then affecting him. It was affecting me because I was learning how to control being angry. I was learning how to control my sadness, and I was learning how to control my grief that I was holding towards my son even though he was still alive. Because grief is a big emotion, and it's an emotion that we don't realize that we're actually holding. Grief is a massive emotion in the fact that we grieve for things that we have lost or we are longing for that we don't realize. And sometimes we just need to sit and reflect on life and sit and reflect on our emotions. And, I like to journal, so I like to write down what I'm feeling at the time and how that's making me feel. Maybe you can try that. So parenting from chaos to freedom, it's really about connecting to yourself. It's about being in control of yourself and about being in control of your own emotions and how you can control every single circumstance and every emotion, because you cannot control your children's behavior. You cannot control your children's illness or disease or, however they are. They have to learn to control that themselves by being responsible of their own selves and what is happening to them. We are here to guide, we are here to love, and we are here to support. So I hope this message sends, relates to you. And if it doesn't, that's okay too, because this is my story, and this is how over the next year I'm going to be talking about lots of different emotions and how those emotions affect us, but giving you key tools through meditation, through mindfulness, through activities in how to then be free within your own mind and move forward and control you. So guys, I hope that you have a wonderful day. I hope this message is received well. I know that sometimes these messages can be very controversial, and you know what? It's taken me 20 years to actually speak up and tell my story and to be able to share my knowledge, and that's what I feel that I'm here for. So guys, have a wonderful day, no matter where you are, no matter what you're doing. Much love to you all, and I'll see you on this channel again soon. Bye for now.